Okay, good morning. Lots going on. So welcome to Senate Finance, and would the Secretary please call the roll?
Senator Goycochea? Here. Senator Harris? Senator Lang?
Here.
Senator Neal?
Here.
Senator Wynn?
Here.
Senator Severs-Gansert?
Here.
Senator Titus?
Here.
Chair Don Daraloop.
Here. Thank you very much. And Mark, Senator Harris present when she arrives. We have members that are still doing bills on the other side, as well as you will notice that we have a new person at the dais. Senator Roberta Lang has been appointed by the Senate Majority Leader to serve as an alternate for Senator Canizaro on the Committee on Finance and the full committee privileges, and further notice pursuant to Senate Standing Rule number 41 will be made today on the floor. So welcome, Senator Lang. We're happy to have you. And we'll move on while we're welcoming new baby Cole to the Senate Democratic Caucus. So thank you very much. All right, with that, please silence your cell phones. And for those listening in, for public comment or testimony, please dial 888-475-4499. And when prompted, the meeting ID for today will be 813-2765-3067, and then press pound. And when prompted for the participant ID, you will press pound. So with that, we have several bills that we are going to hear today, and we will start with Senate Bill 99, which it makes an appropriation to the Desert Research Institute of the Nevada System of Higher Education. And Senator Goycochea, join us at the table when you're ready with your other presenters. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Senator Goycochea, representing Senate District 19, Greater Eastern Nevada, North and South. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'll move the dangerous stuff out of my way. And with that, I'm here presenting SB 99. I have with me Frank McDonough, the Director of DRI Cloud Seeding Program, as well as Tracy Brower, their Government Affairs person. So just very quickly, I'll move into it. $600,000 a year appropriation for cloud seeding. I realize coming out of the spring we had here, nobody wants to talk about clouds or snow, but again, we don't know what's coming forward. Clearly, every state around us does cloud seeding, and it is effective. It does work, and I'll let Frank talk about that and actually what we can see. But if we can pick up 10% more precip annually, I mean, let's put a price on this, and that's clearly where we are. I realize you have to have a storm front come by, you have to have something to seed, but we do have the generators in place in most of these sites in Nevada. We just haven't been paying to run them. And $600,000 is a pretty small price when you actually, I don't want to talk about flooding, but when we're talking true drought like we've gone through the last 3 to 5 years, it's $600,000 is nothing. So with that, I'll turn it over to Frank and Tracy, and thank you.
Good morning. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Tracy Bauer with DRI. DRI is a nonprofit research institute that includes more than 450 scientists, engineers, and staff. Our scientists are leaders in their respective fields, including the area of cloud physics. Cloud seeding is a scientifically proven method to increase precipitation by introducing ice-forming dust into winter storm clouds over mountains. It is widely practiced throughout the West, and DRI has been a leader in the science of cloud seeding for more than 60 years. Cloud seeding can increase winter snowfall, as the senator said, by 10%, increasing the water supply in the state at a cost of $3 to $10 per acre-foot of water. The state funded DRI to conduct a cloud seeding experiment in the 70s. The success of that experiment led to the state funding of the Nevada Cloud Seeding Program, which operated from 1983 to 2009. Funding was halted in 2009 due to the funding shortfall with the Great Recession. The state funded the program for one additional year in 2018 to 2019. Since state funding halted, DRI has worked with local water agencies to conduct cloud seeding where possible, but the patchwork nature of the funding makes it less efficient and more expensive than a statewide program. The projects are often not funded by local sponsors until drought conditions become critical for water supplies, missing out on opportunities to generate additional snowfall before the situation becomes dire. The funding proposed in SB 99 will provide operational funds needed to operate the 25 state-owned cloud seeding generators valued at $2 million that were built by DRI and are presently installed and ready to use. The $600,000 in operational dollars has the potential to produce nearly 100,000 acre-feet of water for Nevada, or enough to supply 200,000 Nevada homes with their yearly water needs. The cloud seeding program needs continuity to keep the equipment in good repair, and the weather stations and webcams have added benefit of providing weather forecasting, fire weather observations, and climate data when operational. The funding in SB 99 would allow that continuity. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Committee, Senator Neal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I saw the reporting mechanism, and it stops after, I guess, the appropriation stops. Do you think we should probably continue to find out what's happening with the program after the money goes away?
Madam Chair, through you to Senator Neal, I will probably phone a friend here with Frank McDonough, who oversees the program. But in general, when the cloud seeding generators are operational, that's when we can elicit the additional precipitation. It usually doesn't extend beyond that period. So if there are additional funds available after the next biennium, we could certainly report on that as well. But in general, the additional precipitation is created when the cloud seeding generators are operational.
Yeah, I understand, but in your testimony, you also mentioned that when there wasn't any state money, you used local money in order to continue the program. And so I've known about cloud seeding, I guess, since the 80s when I was a kid, but I just think it's of interest because this was a really squirrely winter.
You think?
Madam Chair,
Go
through
ahead,
you
please.
to Senator Neal. Yes, and I understand, we know Southern Nevada and Clark County also participate, with that program, especially as we move east into the Rockies there. And again, they're doing that because there is a benefit. But again, I don't know how we deal with, the last 10 years. Clearly there's, I'm not saying global warming, but there is climate change. We know that's happening, and we need to take every opportunity we can. We have had fronts go over. It really irritates me when the Sierras get 5 foot of snow and the Uintas over there in Utah get another 3 foot of snow, and we get nothing. So I believe in the technology, and I believe it can be beneficial. And again, when we start talking 100,000 acre feet of water in this state, it's huge. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I don't disagree with anything Senator is saying. I just wanted more extended reporting. That's it.
Through the chair, let's go. let's see what 600,000 buys us, and we'll get you back to data that it actually improved. And then one question I have, again, I don't know, and you probably, I would think if I was from Southern Nevada, would want to know, if in fact their DRI has some generators on Charleston, which is also my district.
Yes, sir. You and I match. Do you have a comment you'd like to make?
Yes, Frank McDonough, Director of the Desert Research Institute, and I guess to the committee, yes, there is equipment in cloud seeding Mount Charleston right now. It was operated last winter, until it was suspended. So we have built-in criteria to halt the cloud seeding when the precipitation becomes excessive, and that happened in most of the areas this particular winter. So, yeah. And as far as the reporting, yeah, once we finish the cloud seeding during the winter, we certainly will complete all reporting, and that's part of our research operational project. So we want to know as much as anybody how well it worked, and we would be glad to pass that on whenever the report's finished, irregardless of the timelines on the bill.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions or comments? I find it fascinating as well, and thank you for taking care of Mount Charleston. And for those of us on the southern end, but the northern end is very important as well for lots of different reasons. So, any additional comments, Senator? All right, with that, then we will go to those in support of Senate Bill 99.
Good morning, Madam Chair. For the record, Paul Moratkin with the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is in support of this appropriation request from DRI. As you know, they are national water experts for their research, and we believe this technology is viable. We appreciate the consideration today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Jeff Fontaine. I'm representing the Humboldt River Basin Water Authority in support of SB 99. 23 of the 34 groundwater basins in the Humboldt region are over-appropriated, and long-term overpumping the groundwater basins there is impacting base flow of the river, resulting in senior surface right holders receiving less water, decreased surface water rights, and in some cases during the drought, no water at all. Obviously, this creates a significant impact on the communities in the region as well as the environment. For the past 2 years, HRBWA and its 5-member counties, along with conservation districts and mines, pulled resources to match funding for cloud seeding in the Ruby Mountains. There were 6 generators, in the Santa Rosa Mountains where there are 2 generators, and for the 2021-22 winter season, cloud seeding by DRI was estimated to produce an additional 26,000 acre-feet of snow water equivalent. That's a significant amount of water for the users in the region. So we respectfully urge your support for SB 99. Thank you.
Chair, members of the committee, for the record, I'm Doug Busselman. I'm the Executive Vice President of Nevada Farm Bureau. We also support cloud seeding and hope that you'll pass this bill.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Alejandro Rodriguez, Nevada System of Higher Education, and she's in strong support of SB 99. We'd like to thank Senator Goycochea for bringing forward this important measure, tackling an important issue for our state and region. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional support here in the room? We'll go to Las Vegas. Anybody in Las Vegas in support? And phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of SB 99, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to offer testimony in support at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in opposition to SB 99, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to testify in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
Chair, if you would like to provide neutral testimony to SB 99, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to offer neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, Senator, do you have any closing remarks? No, sir. All right. We'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 99, and we'll welcome Senator Goycochea back to the table for Senate Bill 101.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Senator Pete Goycochea, representing Senate District 19, bringing you Senate Bill 101. I have with me at the table Janine Wentworth, a Lincoln County Commissioner, and Melissa Clary. I brought this bill on behalf of Lincoln County at their request, and it pertains to the Gem Theater in Pioche. And I want to make sure I don't get corrected because I mistakenly misspoke and said Caliadi, and staff corrected me immediately, so I thank you for that. But anyway, again, all I can really say about the bill, and I'm going to turn it over to the people from Lincoln, but all across the state, especially my region, we've seen these, again, facilities, whether it be the Eureka Opera House, Piper's, the Fourth Ward School, they bring to these rural communities actually a point and a gathering place, and it gathers the community as well as giving other people from outside the county a destination, and it's huge for economic development and maintaining these smaller rural communities. And that's why you got to have us out there to hold the world apart. So we just need your help, and with that, I will turn it over. And again, this bill brought on behalf of Lincoln County, so I guess I'll kick off. I don't know, Janine, if you want to talk about your request from Lincoln, or let Melissa start the presentation, but we will be brief.
Thank you very much. Ms. Clary, so good to see you
Good
again. Please go
morning.
ahead.
Yeah, great to see you all on this peppy Monday. All right, so briefly, I'll just run through. I'm Melissa Clary. I'm the Chief Gemologist, AKA President of the Friends of Gem Theater. We're the nonprofit that purchased and is hoping to rehabilitate this beautiful building. I'm not sure how many of you have had the pleasure of going to the Gem Theater. It's on Main Street in the commercial core of Pioche. It was built in 1937, and unfortunately it shuttered in 2002. A windstorm blew the roof off, and so it's been closed for over 20 years, and now we're faced with quite a bit of disrepair. And that's just that, and the code we have to update on certain things. That's all packaged in this request. And basically, some fun facts about the Gem. It's about a 4,500 square foot two-story building. It's a single-screen theater, and it's in a modest Art Deco style. The neon marquee that is very iconic, people know this piece of architecture from the marquee. That was added in the 1950s, and I refurbished that actually through a grant program I'll mention later. There's roughly just under 200 seats, so it's quite a big hall for a rural area. And it's actually the only movie theater left in the entire county. So it's been closed, but it's the last remaining movie theater that we can save. Some envisioned uses. This is more than just a movie theater. This is truly a community center. So this is really a gathering hub, as Senator Goycochea mentioned. We envision many uses for this building. I listed some there. Some of these I've done, theaters are sort of my passion, and I've done international travels, looked at theaters all over the world, and some of these uses were inspired by other theaters that are doing these things. Things like film festivals. We have relationships with colleges in Nevada where they already want to be on a film circuit where they travel through and show movies at Lincoln County. So there's quite a bit of relationship building that can be done through these uses as well. So we're excited by that. Now getting to the funding, the rehab request, you should have that in front of you on that PDF, but we've phased it. The $2 million is based on the scopes of work breakdown we've gotten from contractors, and we've packaged it into a phase 1, which is what we really need to arrive at to get the doors open. The phase 2 pieces, we do see those as something we could build to, depending on the budget we're playing with. That's certainly something that we can come back and work on. But the $2 million is what we would need to get the doors open and be able to show movies again. So that's really the request. And I would just leave you with, there's a ton of community support for this at our sign lighting that we had last June when we refurbished the marquee. We had people as far as Salt Lake City come, Los Angeles, and a lot of Las Vegans. This is really a playground for Las Vegans. We're noticing a lot of people are traveling to eastern Nevada, seeking the outdoor recreation, but they want to do something at night too. And the Gem would really bring that extra stay, get a few more additional heads and beds, and it would produce extra revenue for the county, which is struggling. So with that, I'll humbly ask for your support of Senate Bill 101 And I'll move to Commissioner Woodworth.
Good morning, Commissioner. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, thank you. Chair Dunderloop and committee members. For the record, my name is Janine Woodworth, and I am a Lincoln County Commissioner here on behalf of the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners. The GEM Theater is in my district and also in my hometown of Pioche. Thank you for the opportunity to provide public comment in support of Senate Bill 101. The board would also like to express its appreciation to Senator Goycochea for sponsoring this bill. It was the board who asked the senator to help acquire funds to restore the historic GEM Theater in Pioche. Pioche has a rich and colorful history dating back to the 1860s and was the largest mining town in southeastern Nevada in the 1970s. Today, Pioche attracts new residents with its friendly, picturesque hometown appeal and tourists who visit Pioche's historic buildings and sites such as the Pioche Historical Museum, the $1 Million Courthouse, and Boot Hill. Present-day Pioche has little mining activity, and as being the county seat, the main focus is now government. Present-day Pioche, the GEM is the only movie theater to have been constructed in Pioche, and the last remaining movie theater still standing in Lincoln County. I personally attended a few movies at the GEM while visiting from Las Vegas before I married and moved to the area. Located on Main Street in the historic commercial corridor of Pioche, the GEM is a main anchor tenant to Pioche's historic commercial district. Pioche has several historic significant buildings that are in need of restoration. Unfortunately, Lincoln County does not have funding to restore them. We are fortunate that this building has a passionate team behind it, ready to fully rehabilitate and bring the GEM back into operation. Even though the GEM is not open yet to the public, the improvements that have been made so far have generated a lot of excitement in the community. The marquee lighting event last June was a great event, well attended by residents from throughout the county as well as visitors. The marquee has been lit every Friday and Saturday night since then, giving much hope of its reopening. When reopened, the theater will operate not only as a movie theater, but will also host special events and serve as a community center. We have seen the commitment and the work that the Friends of GEM have completed and are confident in their ability to achieve project success. Restoration and reopening of the GEM would bring back a much-needed arts and entertainment component to Lincoln County. Additionally, the draw of seeing a movie or attending a film festival at the GEM in the historic mining town of Pioche would be a significant tourism boost for eastern Nevada. Approving an appropriation would get the building over the finish line and go a long way toward achieving the goal of expanding tourism attractions and thus improving our economy. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Senator Neal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I was just wondering, wouldn't this be eligible for the GoEd Main Street program? Have you guys gone through that process?
So we do receive, we work with Lincoln County Authority for Tourism, or LCAT, to get rural marketing dollars through the program available to us under Travel Nevada. But that monies is not, that's different from the Main Street program, obviously, but Pioche does not have a Main Street program. There's very limited volunteers that participate in the LCAT tourism group, so they would have to do quite a heavy lift to build up a Main Street program. And then even through that, I'm not sure how much capital funding would become available. So we would be looking at years out for that. And that's partially why our approach to come to the state came about as well, because these are such tightly integrated scopes of work. It's really hard to do phased construction through phased piecemeal grant processes. So hence the lump sum ask.
Okay, because I was just wondering, because I thought they had like an exploring program that I thought some of the language fit into when you're trying to do some cohesive core of historic and commercial development, so.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions? I have one. Where are you in the process? Is there, I mean, is there a roof on it? Is the inside cleaned up? I don't know, right? Just give us sort of an update of where you are in the process.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Right now, we've worked with a consultant who's actually come on board. She's a historic preservation consultant. She'll be on my advisory group now. But we've done a roadmap of the rehabilitation. So looking at the interior standards for rehabilitation and what we would need to do for this building. So we have the preservation treatment plan done. That was a grant I received. And we've inventoried everything in the building and sort of cleaned up what was left. It is a time capsule of a building, so we have everything intact. But we did have to clean up quite a bit of what was in disrepair. And then we've also done the marquee. So the only major capital improvement we've done has been the neon marquee that you see on the outside. And then as far as scopes of work, we've worked with some engineers and consultants to break down the scopes of work. And that's what that amount is in the table I provided. So we've had a number of different trades out to go through the building.
Thank you very much. Senator Wynn.
Thank you for this. I have had the opportunity to be in Peoche. I think I saw you guys cleaning it up when I was out there camping with my family. So I have a couple of questions. You had mentioned that you're working with a consultant, and obviously there's been some, I guess, planning process. How have you paid for that planning process? You mentioned one grant, but has it all been grant and donation funding, or how is that working so far?
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you to the Senator. So we're working with North Wind Group Consulting. They specialize in historic preservation work. And the grant we were able to pay them with was through the preservation, or the Trust for Preservation, the National Trust for Preservation. And that was the first grant we received, and we did have to raise funds to meet, it was a matching 1-to-1 grant. So that was our first one, and now we have sort of the roadmap to how we conduct the rehabilitation, and just assessing all the needs of the building. That was done through that grant. And then as far as some of the scopes of work, obviously engineers don't do everything in kind. So we have gotten just small donations over the years through, I mean, we're 2.5 years old. So we've done a few events, and we've sold commissioned art prints of the building and different things to come up with matching funds for some of those grants. And then a bunch of the work has been in kind. So we have gotten, for example, on our marquee, that was a USDA Rural Business Development grant, which was our first federal grant. Very big package to apply for those. But it was reduced by a big sum, our award. What we requested for the scope of work was a lot less. So we had to sort of leverage some of the donations we had, and then really work with the neon contractor, Hartlauer, out of Vegas. And they probably ate a bunch of the cost and gave us some in-kind donation through what this sign was going to cost. So people have a passion for this building and this work. So sometimes we're able to get in-kind contributions towards certain pieces of the work.
Now, when we're looking at this rehabilitation funding, and you have some quotes listed off here, are those quotes that came as a part of this consulting process? Like, how accurate are these quotes? When were these quotes given? I know that supply chain, cost of labor, all of those kind of things. Like, how realistic is this? And this 2 million, sorry, some multiple questions here. So, how accurate, how recent? Let's see. And then does this get you to like fully opening it, or at this point, do you still have lots more work to do to get this into a place where you can open the doors?
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you to Senator Wynn. My partner in this is a general contractor by trade, so he's actually most knowledgeable in obtaining the different bids for the work. So most of those quotes, and those are placed into categories of work. So one contractor isn't one line item. It's not one-to-one. It's sort of a categorical estimate I put on each line. But we have had, I'd say the bulk of those quotes are within the last 3 months. So of course, it's not the way the economy's been moving, it's always fluctuating. So those are sort of rounded numbers. We would have to obtain more recent quotes when we actually go to do the work, of course.
And then as far as the timeline, if you were to be granted this funding, how long would this process take?
Madam Chair, through you. So I know the reporting requirement is about 2 years through this awarded funding. So we're confident that because we do have trades lined up for these certain tasks, we're confident we can get that done within the 2 years.
Okay, Senator Gansert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to follow up on a couple of the other questions that were asked, and I'm not sure if I heard the answers. So one was, have you been able to repair the roof? And the second was, would this amount of money get you to the point where you can open the theater, or do you need work beyond that?
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you to the Senator. Yes, the roof was repaired prior to our purchasing the building, so it is watertight for the most part. There's a few leaks here or there. But the building is safe right now, and the structural integrity has been checked out. It's a safe building. Of course, we don't have a certificate of occupancy, so no one's going in there. But as far as the $2 million estimate is what we would need to get the building open and start showing movies. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a quick question. How do you acquire the certificate of occupancy?
Yes, Madam Chair. So we work with our local Lincoln County Building Department, and they essentially I've talked to them about what code is there, and systems we would need. We know part of the rehabilitation package in front of you includes some of those updates that are required to get the building open. Things like ADA restrooms. I'd love for you all to come out there one day and see it, but the restrooms, as they were built in 1937, are stepped down. So that's not appropriate for today.
Okay, thank you. Senator Neal, did you have a question?
Yeah, just really quick. So for the plumbing systems and the drainage and water remediation, you have roughly about 700,000, and so you're saying that all of that will take care of the plumbing system from 1937?
Yes, Madam Chair, through you to the Senator. It's actually a very simple plumbing system because the restrooms are just in one line, and where the water line is that we would connect into. It's fairly simple, so we're pretty confident that in packaging what we labeled MEP, that we could do all of those system updates with that amount.
I know, it just kind of makes me laugh when I hear simple because we have made everything so complicated, right? And back then they didn't do that. They just pretty made it straightforward.
Yeah.
So, Senator Goicoechea, am I singing your song? Thank you very much. All right, any additional questions? All right, with that, thank you very much for all that information, and we will go to those in support of Senate Bill 101.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, for the record, my name is Jeff Fontaine, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Executive Director for the Lincoln County Regional Development Authority. First off, I appreciate the opportunity to provide public comment, and also wanted to thank Senator Goicoechea for sponsoring this bill. LCRDA is in support of SB 101. There are limited opportunities for economic development and diversification in Lincoln County. It is the seventh largest county in the U.S. by area, and 98% of the land is owned and administered by various federal agencies. So this high percentage of land owned by the U.S. government is a significant barrier to commercial and industrial development and to new business creation and attraction efforts. Lincoln County recently completed its 5-year comprehensive economic development strategy, or SEDS, which is required by the U.S. Economic Development Administration. The SEDS also includes an assessment of the level of economic distress, which indicates that Lincoln County does in fact qualify as an economically distressed community. Fortunately for Lincoln County and its residents, it's home to abundant natural resources and cultural and historic attractions, which are really experiencing a growing number of visitors. Community input to the SEDS identified tourism and outdoor recreation as a primary driver of economic activity and an opportunity to support new business creation and the retention and expansion of existing businesses. Accordingly, the new SEDS includes implementing a comprehensive refurbishment, revitalization, and adaptive reuse effort of the Gem Theater located in Pioche. This would be done by 2028 as part of Lincoln County's one of Lincoln County's 13 new strategic economic development goals. We respectfully urge your support for an appropriation, and thank you very much for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional support here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines? BPS, when you're ready.
To testify in support of Senate Bill 101, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good morning, Chair. Are you able to hear me?
We are, Dora. Go ahead, please.
Oh, good morning, Madam Chair and the beautiful committee. This is Dora Martinez representing the Nevada Disability Action Coalition. We are wholeheartedly supporting this bill. We have some members who are there that would really love to see this going up, but we do encourage inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility for all. When you are building the building, please implement ramps, accessible bathrooms, and please put the accessible parking spots in front, not on the side or far away from the door. It will be hard for elderly folks or people with disability to walk into the building. And thank you so much. We appreciate y'all. Take care. Have a great Monday.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Chair, there are no additional callers wishing to provide testimony.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, on the phone lines. BPS, when you're ready.
To testify in opposition to Senate Bill 101, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers wishing to give testimony.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines. BPS, when you're ready.
To testify in neutral to Senate Bill 101, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers wishing to testify.
Thank you very much. Closing comments, Senator? Bless you.
Not really, unless there's any other questions, and I do want to clarify and thank the commissioner for not giving me an earshot. I introduced her as Wentworth rather than Woodworth, so thank you, Commissioner. I'm sorry.
Commissioner Woodworth, we're happy to have you. All right, with that, I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 101, and I'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 263, and I'll take just a quick recess while we get everybody in place. was like, okay, we have another meeting going on in here. All right. Okay, good morning. Thank you. We'll call our meeting back to order. Thank you for letting us take that quick break. Senate Bill 263 is the Children's Cabinet and renovation of land for the Audi project. So Senator Seaver-Scansert, welcome, and thank you both all for being here. Go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Senator Heidi Seaver-Scansert from District 15 in Northern Nevada. With me, I have Kim Young from the Children's Cabinet and Nicole Lamboldi from the Food Bank of Northern Nevada. And they have an extremely exciting and important project to talk to you about today. It's called the Audi Project, and they're going to purchase what used to be in Albertsons, then Save Mart on Audi Boulevard in the entire center, which is across from the old Kmart, if you know Reno at all. And this is in a very poor, disadvantaged area. And I'm going to let them provide the details, but they will become a hub for services for Northern Nevada. They're going to have child care that's provided by the Boys and Girls Club. They're going to have health care provided by Community Health Alliance. They're going to have the Northern Nevada Literacy Center there, and they're going to be partnering also with the chambers to provide all sorts of services. And so I'm really excited to be able to introduce this today and to have your consideration. And you'll see that there's the main bill that requests $12 million, and there's amendment for a match of another $4 million for tenant improvements. So it's $8 million to buy the building, it's $4 million for some of the tenant improvements that the state would be providing, and then an additional match of $4 million, so another $8 million to complete the tenant improvements. And these are both well-known nonprofits, long-standing nonprofits in Northern Nevada that are really key to providing essential services for so many people. So now I'd like to turn it over to Nicole and to Kim to talk more about the project. Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members. Thank you for having us here this morning. My name is Kim Young. I'm the CEO of the Children's Cabinet. The Children's Cabinet was established in 1985, and our mission is to keep children safe and families together. We provide resources and services that address unmet needs. We're really built on a public-private partnership model, and last year we served over 13,000 Nevada families. The Children's Cabinet offers more than 30 distinct programs in the areas of early childhood education, youth development, behavioral health, and family support. Some of the offerings include child care resource and referral. We are the Child Care Subsidy Assistance Program in Northern Nevada. We offer parenting classes, family counseling, and education and workforce training programs for young adults. Wraparound case management is at the core of our services, and we provide programs that are designed to help families thrive. Today, I'm happy to introduce you to Nicole Lamboldi. She's the CEO of the Food Bank of Northern Nevada. Introducing this, the Audi Project is a true partnership and collaboration between the Children's Cabinet and the Food Bank.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. Nicole Lamboldi, President and CEO of the Food Bank of Northern Nevada. Food Bank of Northern Nevada serves 13 Nevada counties. Right now, we're serving about almost 140,000 people per month through our network of partners throughout those 13 counties. We also cover 10 counties in Northern California. To give you an idea of the magnitude of the increase in services that we've seen since the pandemic, in April 2020, we served a record number of 128,000 people in that month. Now we're seeing sustained need. Our mission is feeding people today and solving hunger for tomorrow through community partnership. And that's really what this Audi project is about. It's about a true partnership. These two organizations are coming together to create an opportunity to provide services, comprehensive services to our community in a neighborhood that is ranking high on the Social Vulnerability Index. And it's, for those of you who know me, I don't get very emotional, but I get very emotional about this because as we enter our 40th year of serving and feeding people in our community, our board looked at our opportunity to really address the second half of our mission, how do we solve hunger for tomorrow through community partnership? So the Food Bank and the Children's Cabinet have come together to create a new 501c25 for the purposes of trying to obtain this building and the parcel that's explained in the one-pager that we've provided. But really, it's about partnering together with not only the Children's Cabinet, but the Boys and Girls Club of Truckee Meadows to provide childcare. And I'll let Kim address the childcare needs, but often people ask, why does the food bank care about these issues? If we don't provide childcare, people cannot work, and they end up standing in our lines to support their household food needs. Workforce training is very important. And so we've tried to create an opportunity to collaborate to provide very necessary services in our community. But I'd like to have Kim now walk through some of the need that we're seeing with the families that they provide services to on a daily basis.
As Nicole said, we have continued, the Children's Cabinet has experienced this firsthand since the pandemic. The needs of children and families has just continued to grow. And so as an organization, we have been providing workforce training for young people for a number of years. However, in this post-pandemic era, we've noticed that the need to incorporate those wraparound services is really critical. So we're providing the food to families. We're providing their educational opportunities so that they can get their high school education, and then those critical job training skills. So in this center, they will be able to achieve a multi-core craft curriculum, MC3 certification, Serve Safe, an OSHA 10, or first aid, CPR, community health worker certification, retail, and we also have someone offering scratch coding with skill development in HTML, JavaScript, and Python. So really opening up a whole host of opportunities for our community to get job training skills and then be walked through so that they can find a job and keep a job. The childcare is really a critical part of the services that will be offered in this center. In Washoe County, we're meeting about 40% of the need for childcare. So we have families that are looking for care and they just can't find it. There's just not enough slots. So this project brings in 100 new slots to our community. And that's in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of Truckee Meadows, who has a terrific history of providing that high quality care, which is really critical for us.
For the record, Nicole Lamboli, Food Bank of Northern Nevada. I think the other piece, people might ask, what is food centered around here? Well, one of the other opportunities we want to create is a culinary workforce training. Food banks across the country, and we're a member of Feeding America, the network of 200 food banks, offer some type of culinary job training program where we're providing not only the skills to take jobs in the hospitality sector, but also, as Kim indicated, providing that wraparound case management so that people understand the soft skills necessary for them not only to obtain employment, but to maintain employment so that we can help their families thrive. We also envision putting in a commercial-grade kitchen, which would help us produce meals for our programs where we provide meals through our Kids Cafe Child Nutrition Program, feeding seniors, and other opportunities. As we've talked with our community leaders in the nonprofit sector in Washoe County, there's been tremendous interest in being a part of this center. And so this center also offers about 4,000 square feet of space that yet hasn't been designed that can be programmed to meet the needs of community members. So they will help us design the services that they need. I've kind of explained it to some individuals. The big box, which is the former grocery box, is a perimeter of services, of on-site services, but then there's a whole host of other opportunities that can be brought in to help meet the various needs as community members identify them. It's very much a neighborhood-based services model. It's on a transportation line, easily accessible by bus, walkability. The city of Sparks has been investing in the Audi corridor in improving the walkability of that street. It's accessible by the freeway. It's all the neighborhoods around this one zip code are also high in the social vulnerability index. And while there's some services, there's a lack of coordinated services, so we want to make it easier for people. And the other exciting opportunity that we've been talking with the University of Nevada, Reno, is enabling students to do internships on site, so those students who are seeking disciplines and degrees in human-centered work would have the opportunity to work there with the neighbors that are seeking services.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Heidi Severs-Ganser for the record. I want to thank you again for considering this, and we're open to questions, but this is just like a vital component and opportunity for us to serve so many people in northern Nevada in these high vulnerability areas. So thank you for your consideration. We're open for questions.
All right, thank you very much. Senator Wynn.
If I can just get some clarification with the amendment, I know, I just want to be clear, like, what exactly is the ask? I see 8 million, and then 4 million, and then I see an amendment here that talks about 4 million with a matching. So is it still a total of 12 million of total ask?
Thank you for the record, Senator Heidi Severs-Ganser. It is a request for $12 million. When we were having a discussion about this project, we knew it was going to cost additional money, but we wanted to make sure that they had skin in the game, because you know when we have so many projects that are brought to the state and it's hard for the state to provide all the money, I think it's important to show a match. And so it costs $8 million for the building and $8 million for tenant improvements, but they'll cover half of that. So it's 8 plus 4, and then they'll match with another 4. Thank you.
So in total, it'll be 16.
Thank you for the record, Heidi Severs-Ganser. Yes, it'll be a total cost of $16 million for the purchase of, I think it's 7.5 acres, and the square footage, I don't have off the top of my head. 65,067 square feet. It's a very large center to provide, again, the services that they talked about from their nonprofits as well as many other nonprofits in the local area.
Thank you. Additional questions? So I have one about, you caught me off guard when you said we were feeding counties in northern California as well as northern Nevada. Are we able to feed all of our Nevadans and still have food left over for northern California?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Nicole Lamboli, Food Bank of Northern Nevada. Our service area is actually set by Feeding America as a member of it, so there's no overlap. And yes, we partner with our California food banks to provide that services. So we run some of the commodities for California through our agency to support those agencies. And then we have our Nevada commodities through the Nevada Department of Agriculture, which are identified for the Nevada counties. But yeah, we are meeting the need. We have seen an incredible growth in the community support we get for feeding people, but we need to do something a little different. Greater than 50% of the services that we provide are in the Washoe County area. That's why it's critical. But we also are working on rural access programs with the Nevada Department of Ag to make sure that we're meeting the need where it is.
And with that being said, do we acquire any funding from our northern California partners or counties, or I don't know who would partner there?
Yes, thank you for your question, Madam Chair. Nicole Lamboli, Food Bank of Northern Nevada. Yes, we do receive some California capacity dollars. California is obviously structured a little different, but we do get some California state dollars that must be utilized in those California counties. We segregate all funds, so all California dollars stay in California, all Nevada dollars stay in Nevada. So not all food is equal food. It is segregated by the funding type, but we do get support from community members in those California counties. We seek grants where appropriate from California-based organizations to support feeding our neighbors in California.
Do we, so with this project, would there be any chance that California would partner with us, since we are using the facility to feed Northern Californians if the food bank is housed there?
The food bank, for the record, Nicole Lamboli, it's unlikely that people would travel from the California counties to this area to seek services because we have other partners in California who provide this type of service, and they would more likely use those services. But the other funding that we get, the match dollars, might be able to help support, California residents who might come to seek job training, but likely they would be seeking employment in Nevada.
Okay, thank you. Additional questions from the committee? All right, seeing none, thank you very much. We'll go to support here in Carson City.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Michael Hillerby on behalf of the City of Sparks. As you've heard, this is an important project. This one the city has invested in. And I know one of the questions you often ask is who else has skin in the game has become the term. RTC Washoe, who I also have the privilege of representing, is in the midst of a roughly $50 million project along Oddie. That includes the normal new roadway improvements as well as ADA accessibility upgrades, multimodal transit, bus stops, bicycle and pedestrian walkways, new landscaping, new lighting, safer roadways to help that community use that area better and make this new project more easily accessible to everyone involved. We appreciate your consideration and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair, members of the committee. Jason Walker, Wash County Sheriff's Office. This is an excellent project for the community that will bring in much needed resources and support. The Wash County Sheriff's Office definitely recognizes both the Children's Cabinet and Food Bank as long-standing major community resource partners and are happy to testify in support of Senate Bill 263.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Cadence Matievich, representing Washoe County. And Washoe County is here in strong support today for SB 263. Our Board of County Commissioners has considered and taken an official policy position in support of this bill, in support of our legislative principles of partners providing services to our shared constituents. We realize this is not an insignificant ask. This is a significant amount of money, but we believe that it will be worth the investment and that the return on the investment will pay dividends for years in our community. You heard the breadth and scope of what this project will provide in our community from Ms. Lamboli and Ms. Young, and we respectfully ask for your support.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Tom Clark. I'm honored to represent the Children's Cabinet, and I won't, I just totally support what Ms. Lamboli and Ms. Young brought forward. But I am also the lobbyist for the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber really looks forward to working with these two nonprofit organizations to develop the kind of programs that were described previously. So thank you, and we very much appreciate your support.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in support here in Carson City? In Las Vegas? On the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to offer testimony in support of SB 263, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good morning, Madam Beautiful Chair, and the members of the committee. This is Dora Martinez representing the Nevada Disability Action Coalition. We would like to thank the sponsor and the co-sponsors of this common sense bill, and we appreciate that it's at the location where it's accessible to people with all types of abilities. And please, we encourage you to sponsor to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Thank you, Chair. That concludes callers for support.
Thank you very much. Any in opposition here in Carson City? In Las Vegas? On the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to speak in opposition to SB 263, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits, 686. Please press star 6 to unmute yourself.
Good morning. I'm actually calling in support of, I tried to unmute, but it did not work correctly. Is it okay to proceed?
Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jamel Nance. I'm the Director of Prenatal to 3 Initiatives with the Children's Advocacy Alliance, and I'm here today to share my support of Senate Bill 263 to support the ADI project. The Children's Cabinet and the Food Bank of Northern Nevada are crucial partners striving to meet the needs of the sector and Sparks. And we know, as stated in the presentation, that this is an area of high need. In the presentation, they also discussed what these appropriations would meet, and then we looked at these critical needs for childcare, workforce development, and so we would just like to thank the Children's Cabinet and the Food Bank for the work that they do to improve the lives of the children and families across the state. The Children's Advocacy Alliance understands the true value of coordinated partnership and stands in support of increasing the access and utilization of quality early learning experiences, health, safety, and economic well-being, and we know that this project does just that. And so we are asking your support today for Senate Bill 263. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. BPS, anyone else in opposition?
Chair, that concludes callers in opposition.
Thank you very much. Anyone in neutral here in Carson City? In Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. To provide neutral testimony to SB 263, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to offer neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. All right. With that closing comment, Senator Sievers-Gansert.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Senator Heidi Sievers-Gansert. I appreciate your consideration of Senate Bill 263. This is a Sparks, Nevada-based facility with a strong partnership between Northern Nevada, the Food Bank of Northern Nevada, and Children's Cabinet that will serve so many in our community. So I appreciate your consideration. It will serve many Nevadans. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 263. And I will open the hearing on Senate Bill 277, and we'll welcome Senator Harris to the table.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Senate Finance Committee. My name is Dallas Harris. I represent District 11. Thank you all so much for taking the time to hear Senate Bill 277 today. I'm going to acknowledge that this is the Money Committee and not the Policy Committee, so I'll just jump right into the dollars associated with this bill. The first thing I'd like to raise is that the Cannabis Compliance Board has put a 0 fiscal note on this bill. I think that's generous. We might see additional revenue generated through this bill since we're going to be moving folks from a single licensing structure to a dual licensing structure. And when it comes to our retail dispensaries, that is at least 33 new establishments that'll be moving from adult use only to both medical and adult use sales. In addition, with the increased amount of marijuana you would be able to purchase at any one time, the state may see an increase in tax revenue based on those larger sales. I have a proposed amendment that should be before the committee as well as online, and I'll just run through that quickly. One, we are looking to have counties and local governments use a portion of their license tax revenue to ensure that they're educating consumers on legal versus the illegal market, how to safely purchase this product. Still working with the local governments on this piece. The language may be tweaked a bit or even removed if we have to. Local governments will be able to contract out to community groups that are already doing this work, and it's important to note as well that this does not mandate any particular dollar amount be spent, but that they just spend something. The second bullet point that you have before you, we're working with the CCB on firming up this language, but the important thing is that seeds and root balls and the stalks of the plant will not be considered in the definition of marijuana. We want to align it with the federal definition a bit better. We will open up the number of safe entrances as long as they're secure. Right now, the bill only allows that for retail dispensaries. We want to make sure it applies to other cannabis facilities, including consumption lounges. Key being there, the entrances still have to be secure. We want to remove the requirement that a person who holds 5% or less of a ownership interest in an establishment has to get a registration card. We'll be working with the CCB on promulgating regulations for that. We're going to allow the board to go ahead and waive that requirement for 5% as well for the cannabis executive. And then if you have the version I handed out, there's a backside, so we didn't waste 2 sheets of paper. We're going to authorize the board as well via petition process that's currently in statute to give an exemption to the excluded felony offenses. The bill as originally drafted just got rid of that exclusion in its entirety. And then, Madam Chair, if it's okay with you, I'll just quickly address the fiscal note from taxation as well. One of the things that I noticed in this fiscal note is that they anticipate needing a new auditor by October of 2023. However, the provisions of the bill that they reference do not become effective until January 1, 2024. So there might not be a lot of things for that person to do until that point. Secondly, even after the bill becomes effective and licensees will be able to move over to a dual license structure, that will happen on a rolling basis as they renew their next license. And so it's not as if on January 1, 2024, they will have 33 new establishments to inspect. That will happen much more slowly than I think that they're anticipating. In addition, I noticed some of the comments here is that they want to make sure that licensees are properly registered for a seller's permit if they don't already have one. However, we have to keep in mind these are establishments that are already operating as adult use only, and so they better have a seller's permit to be able to collect tax. I don't think the Department of Taxation would actually have to take that on. And then lastly, just to give you all some scope, I mentioned this earlier, right now, there are 60 adult use retail licensees, 27 of which are conditional, and so we need to make sure we remove them from the anticipated workload, which means at most we'll see 33 new establishments that were not medical before, but would be able to sell medical after. And the key here is that you just have to make sure you're not charging the tax on the medical sales, which, by the way, we've been doing for quite some time. We have a lot of dual licensees, and I have no doubt that these licensees who are currently single licensees will be able to easily pick up on how to do both the medical and the adult use sales. It's not something that needs to be figured out over and over and over again with the Department of Taxation's help. With that, Madam Chair, I am happy to stand for any questions the committee may have.
Senator Neal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So on the fiscal note, what's other cannabis product what is that classified as, that where there wouldn't be a tax that attaches? So it says the retail excise tax does not apply to the sale of medical use of cannabis or cannabis product to the holder of the registry.
Thank you for the question, Senator Neal, to you through Chair Don Loop. I did not write this fiscal note, and so I can take a guess, but we may have to get the Department of Taxation up here. My assumption is that they're talking flour versus a concentrate or gummies, right? Those are also not taxed under the excise tax if you have a medical use card. And then I'll also note, my bill does not actually create this exemption, right? It's an exemption that's already in law.
Follow up? Please. So, and then my second question, which is actually from the bill in section 1, you have a provision in here that says the Cannabis Board, before adopting, can look to see if there's an adverse effect on the economic burden of licensees, but what about the economic burden to the state?
Thank you for the question, Senator Neal Dallas Harris, for the record, to you through Chair Don Loop. That is something that I think the agency is already doing, but I'm more than happy to consider requiring them to do so. This was really about ensuring that the regulator of an industry is looking at what the burden of those regulations would be on the people they are imposing those regulations on, as well as the impact to the environment. And I think we've had this discussion plenty of times when it comes to some of the labeling requirements that we might put into place, when we're dishing out additional pieces of paper and things like that. So we wanted to make sure that the regulatory burden to the businesses that they regulate, as well as the burden to the environment, was taken into consideration as they promulgate these regulations.
Additional questions? Senator Gokachia.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm going to get it out in left field, or maybe, I don't know, over the fence. But anyway, we've been struggling getting, and I'm glad to see that language that Senator Dale just called to your attention, because clearly we've got a county that did petition for a medical license, and they're now in the regulatory process, and clearly whatever they put in them regs will impact whether this happens or not. So I'm glad for that clarification and the fact that, again, it's a medical, and it's been applied for by the county, and they say, well, we're going to deal with it in regulations, but we haven't got there yet. It's been ongoing for a long time. So I'm glad to see you put that in place. I hope this language in the bill will, in fact, call the attention to the fact you can't place a burden, especially on a local jurisdiction. Thank you.
All right. Senator Titus, did you have a question? Okay. Additional questions, Senator Neal?
Is Department of Tax around on the other product?
You're up. We'd love to have you. Thank you for joining us today. Senator Neal, you want to ask your question again?
So, thank you, Madam Chair. So, the question is on the fiscal note where it talks about that Section 15, that the retail excise tax does not apply to the sale of medical use of cannabis or cannabis product to the holder of the registry identification card. What's the other cannabis product that's being defined?
Good morning, Madam Chair and Committee. My name is Jennifer Roebuck, for the record, from the Department of Taxation. I'm Deputy Director for Compliance. In answer to your question, it looks like these would be edibles or concentrates.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Gokachia, did you want to ask Taxation Department a question?
Well, I'm not really sure, Madam Chair, but again, it was more to the permitting process, and again, trying to get some of them. In this bill, it talks about, if the jurisdiction has applied or they have put the rules in place whether they want it or not. Clearly, we've got one. I've got a constituent county that has one. Has been working for over a year trying to get a medical license, and now they're being told maybe they're going to have to go to the lottery, and that's problematic because I know under the original law, the county was entitled to one. They don't have in place.
And Senator Goycochea, Dallas Harris, for the record, I will note that Mr. Klimas is, I believe, in Las Vegas, and so he's hearing everything you're saying right now. I think he's getting the message, sir.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you, Tyler.
Thank you very much. Additional questions from the committee? All right, with that, we will go to those in support of Senate Bill 277 here in Carson City. Go ahead, please, when you're ready.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Chelsea Capurro here on behalf of the Nevada Cannabis Association. We appreciate the sponsor bringing this forward, and we are in support.
Chair Dundar-Lute, members of the committee, Connor Kane on behalf of the Chamber of Cannabis, who are also in support. Thank you.
Will Adler of the Sierra Cannabis Coalition. SB 277 looks to clarify and modify a few of the current issues with Nevada's cannabis law. Sierra Cannabis Coalition would like to thank Senator Harris for bringing forward SB 277 and all the changes it looks to make to Nevada's cannabis law. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Brett Scolari, Strategies 360. Appreciate the sponsor and appreciate this bill and would urge your support. Thank you.
Who are you representing, Mr. Scolari?
I apologize. CPCM Holdings, Kira Cannabis Solutions, Clark Natural Medicinal Solutions, and Green Mart of Nevada. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, any additional support here in Carson City? In Las Vegas, please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, Scott Rutledge, Argentum Partners for the record, here on behalf of Deep Roots Harvest, Green Life Productions, and Mom's Meds Management. We are in support of this legislation. I want to thank Senator Harris for convening a number of us over the past year to discuss some of these items. We appreciate the amendments that are being offered up and the work the CCB is doing with Senator Harris on some of these changes. Also, just wanted to note that on the 2/3 requirement for this bill, I've talked to a number of members of the legislature about this. I think that is a sign because of the fee structure change going from 2 license types to single required that we increase the fees for the adult use only license types to make sure that this was a revenue neutral collection of fee structure for the industry. So again, with that, we urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Marilyn DeLute, and members. For the record, my name is Jason Greninger, Greninger, CEO of Atlas Alchemy, and member of the Chamber of Cannabis. Thank you, Senator Dallas, and for introducing the bill. I do think it would improve revenue as it would increase volume and purchases, and the greater availability for patients' needs is most important, as most patients are also making their own medicine. And maintaining a treatment has many difficulties with smaller purchase limits. For example, cannabis has hundreds of variables, up to 144 cannabinoids that mimic our 150 endogenous cannabinoids. So larger amounts allow for consistency in these variables, and providing the same variables is how we'll properly evaluate the effects and efficacy of cannabis. Our medical patients will provide more revenue. They would, like you, want to manage their treatments smarter. Our wish, and our medical patients' consistency wish, is that we would follow Oregon's example, for which this was modeled after, and to provide 8 ounces of flour and 5 grams of concentrate for the medical patients so they can help make their medicine and make that intelligently. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. All right, support on the phone lines, please, BPS, when you're ready.
Chair, the public line is open and working, but there are no callers to give support testimony.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, in Las Vegas. On the phone lines, please, BPS, when you're ready.
Chair, there are still no callers to provide testimony.
Thank you very much. We'll go to neutral here in Carson City.
Good morning, Chair. For the record, my name is Vincent Guthreau. Last name is spelled Guthreau. Serve as the Executive Director of the Nevada Association of Counties, whose members are all 17 of Nevada's counties. Just up in neutral since local government was mentioned in the amendment. We haven't had a full chance to digest the full amendment, but we echo the comments of the sponsor that we'll continue to work on this and get the language right. So just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you for the opportunity.
2.5 weeks or less. So when you say you're working on it, work fast. Thank you very much. Anyone else here in neutral in Carson City? Neutral in Las Vegas, please go ahead.
Actually, Chair, we were here in opposition if it's not too late to start our testimony.
Sure, we move fast around here, as you can see. Go ahead, please, sir.
Yes, ma'am, and I don't blame you. Thank you for your time today. My name is James Creel. I represent the Center for Incubation and Findings Research, a division of Compassion Center, Oregon's oldest federally recognized medical cannabis clinic system in existence. While I can fully appreciate the intention behind this bill, a bad bill is a bad bill is a bad bill, and I must reiterate why Cypher and the Compassion Center are in opposition to SB 277 in its current form in the 82nd session of Nevada for the following reasons. One, while we can appreciate opening up a job market and employee opportunities, the cannabis industry already has enough crooks, criminals, and con artists that it has to contend with on a daily basis, exploiting an otherwise legitimate industry that it doesn't need to be making any more room for those who've demonstrated a lack of morality in their past and haven't already taken the necessary steps to seal or expunge their records. Let's face it, those that are truly rehabilitated and reformed can participate in any lawful business in which they choose to do so. Second, Oregon patients have an ability to go into a dispensary and purchase up to 8 ounces at any one time per day, while adult users are actually limited to 2 ounces. So the proposed increases in limits modeled after Oregon to 2.5 ounces still do not go far enough for medical cannabis patients, period. I've heard Senator Harris repeatedly utilize Oregon as a national example in her presentation to you for SB 277 in support of increasing limits. And I thank her for acknowledging our strengths and our style. But we have all worked really hard to build Oregon viable programs around inclusion, affordable access, compassion, and accessibility. For the record, our patients can go to a dispensary and get an ounce of cannabis for $17 out the door. Let our program really set the standard if you are going to point it to an example. The only way to eliminate a black market or illicit market is to flood the actual marketplace with cheaper products to drive out the illicit players. Raising taxes and or raising licensing fees is counter to that mission, as it will pass on the cost to the patients, leading them further towards the black market. My team and I would like to work with you and your stakeholders to make all the right changes necessary to convert our opposition to support for 277, as again, I do admire the intent behind the bill. Thank you for your service to Nevada and to the evolution of a responsible cannabis industry. Let's just do better next time. James Creel for Compassion Center, and that's CREEL.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Greetings, Senate Committee on Finance. My name is Julie Montero, Monteir, registered nurse. Thank you for your time in considering our opposition to Senate Bill 27, as our last attempts in Carson City on 410 fell upon deaf ears. We wish to submit an official record of our testimony on opposition to our testimony from 410-2023 and today, 5/22/2023, to assure our voices are heard and recorded on the recordings as opposing, as this is such an imbalanced bill that it essentially overlooks the patients, and I truly wish that we could be involved in the future more. For instance, one of the reasons, the purchase limits. Medical and adult uses are not the same. 2.5 ounces for both really sounds enough for purchase and possessions, yet they truly are not when you're really working to control complex disease states. So we want to make sure that the medical program and the adult use program are not combined in any way in that respect. In addition, I really, truly appreciate, and all the patients do, the medical cannabis patients, the 10% excise tax that you're giving us. We actually should feel that we should have a full 100% tax exemption, just as we do with our pharmaceuticals. So we're almost there, but you guys need to give it a little bit more to really, truly help the patients. That other 15% could really make a damage to the patients. With that, I want to see with the distribution of excise taxes, we're a little concerned on what are the costs of carrying out the provisions for the CCP and local governments, and we need a definition for those provisions. And another question is, where does the excess of the $5 million above the collected taxes go, as it's not designated in this bill? We know from the past, in question 2, it said that we were going to have all our funds go to education. Because it wasn't defined properly in that question, none of the funds have gone to the children, and I see this happening again in this bill with the language that it's used. I truly appreciate that it's put in there, and we really need to say where those funds are going. And the other thing is, with that, I'm sorry, let me regain. I'd like to work with you and your stakeholders in the future to really make this bill. Oh, and also, you guys had an amendment. Perfect amendment on adding the education with the local governments. I think education is the key, and it's the reason why I'm here. I want to see the government go a little bit step further as the dispensaries are educated on the risks associated with giving the wrong medicine or cannabis strain to the wrong cancers. There are certain situations with risks and safety issues that I know in the past we were going to put physicians, pharmacists, or nurses in the dispensaries, but somehow that got shot down. The safety of our dispensaries and the knowledge that's going out, there's been misinformation, and there's been also conflicts of interest. And with that, I like where this is going, but if you can rewrite some of that language to be able to assist that accredited institutions. And with that, thank you all. Senator Dallas and your team, I commend you. I thank you for your time in this, and have a good day.
Thank you very much. And it's Senator Harris, just for your record. Also, just for clarification, money from the marijuana and cannabis sales has gone to education here in Nevada. So I just want to make that very clear. I don't have the number right in front of me, but that is a rumor that continues and continues. So with that, Senator Nguyen would like to ask a question. And if you'll turn off your microphone down there, we get feedback.
And this is a question for the bill sponsor, just for clarification, if that's possible. I just want to clarify that under current law, medical use, they have these limits of 2.5 ounces. Is that correct?
Thank you for the question, Senator Nguyen. Dallas Harris for the record to you through Chair Dondera Loop. Yes, that is correct. The current limit in law today for medical patients is 2.5 ounces.
In your bill, with this section would bring it up for everyone to 2.5 ounces. Is that correct?
Thank you for the question, Senator Nguyen. To Dallas Harris for the record to you through Chair Dondera Loop. Yes, that is in fact correct. We are not lowering the limits for medical patients necessarily. We're also not upping the limits for medical patients. We're just raising the limit for everyone.
And so if this bill was not to pass and we have the status quo, this would not affect our current structure for medical use.
Thank you for the question, Senator Wynn. Dallas Harris for the record to you through Chair Dara Loop. Yes, that is correct. Medical patients will be able to purchase 2.5 ounces whether this bill passes or not.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for those clarifications. All right, with that, we will leave opposition. I believe we were in neutral. And so is there anyone in Las Vegas neutral? And if not, we'll go on to BPS when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. The public lines are still open and working, and there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, just clarification, just in the last 2 years, $300 million to the state education fund in the last 2 years alone from cannabis excise taxes. So thank you very much. And with that, any closing comments, Senator Harris?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Dallas Harris for the record. No closing comments, just a thank you to the committee for your questions and your time. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. And I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 277. And we will go to the hearing on Senate Bill 329. And I will welcome Senator Neal to the table.
Good morning, Senate Committee on Finance. I am Senator Dina Neal, here to present SB 329, which is a Senate education bill on behalf of the Joint Interim Standing Committee. So basically, Senate Bill 329, it appoints a subcommittee to study budgeting process for the Nevada school districts and requires them to report their findings by July 1st of 2024. I couldn't find a fiscal note because my understanding an interim committee is already staffed with our legislative staff that we have already set in the budget, and that the interim power has the ability to work on issues set forward as the legislature designates.
All right, short and sweet. Thank you. Any questions from the committee? All right, they're quiet this morning. You're off the hook. All right, we'll go to support for Senate Bill 329. Go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Mary Przenski, here representing Nevada Association of School Superintendents, and we are in support of this bill, and we'll work on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, any additional support here in Carson City? Any support in Las Vegas? And on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. The lines are open and working. However, there are no callers to offer support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and BPS phone lines when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers to offer opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. Neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers to offer neutral testimony at this time.
All right. Thank you very much. Any closing comments, Senator Neal? With that, I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 329, and I will open the hearing on Senate Bill 499, and I believe the Treasurer's Office is here. Welcome, and please begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Eric Jimenez with the State Treasurer's Office. Thank you for giving us the brief opportunity to present Senate Bill 499 today. As the members of the Finance Committee likely remember, as part of the budget closing process for the Treasurer's Office, you approved 2 position requests. One was a Deputy of Financial Security, which was allowed for under Senate Bill 188 of the last legislative session, which would be responsible for implementing the individual development account program, along with other programs that increase access to financial security for residents who need it. And then 2 was a position for our Nevada Able Savings Program, which helps individuals with disabilities save for a better future. In conversations with fiscal and legal, being that those positions were to be funded out of the college savings endowment account, out of NRS 353B sub 350, which is paid for by fees on the college savings plan providers that pay for the privilege of doing business with the state. We all recognize that there needed to be an amendment to Section 353B 350 sub 5E to allow for those 2 positions to be covered under what was initially the financial education bucket, and then 2 was to raise the cap on that bucket from 3% of the funding in the college savings endowment to 10% of the college savings endowment. Real quickly, just to kind of go over some of the fiscal on it. In fiscal year 22, which we're modeling for 23, 24, and 24, 25, the college savings endowment had $5,989,335.22 into that, and then the existing 3% cap would be $179,680.06. So we cannot fund those 2 positions that were approved by the money committees in closing the budget unless we increase the cap. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions from the committee.
Okay, thank you very much. Senator Severs-Gansert.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here today. And so during the earlier testimony that we had about the 2 positions and the cap, I think we asked a question about, do you really need to go to 10% because you're just looking at the 2 positions, or could you be, and I think the treasurer might have even said they could go as little as 5%.
Thank you for the question. Eric Jimenez, for the record, through the chair to the senator from District 15. We looked at that with fiscal very diligently, Senator, and I'll just put some numbers out so you can kind of see where the cap would fall. With all of the positions and the associated program costs for both positions, that total cost for the endowment, inclusive of those positions and the other things we have going on, is $423,150.66 in this next year of the biennium, which would then increase to $470,151.86 in fiscal year 24-25. That would put us above, it would put us right at the 8% cap with no flexibility. Being that we are changing statute here, we recognize that if we run against that cap, we may not be able to pay people the salaries they need if the legislature does make any enhancements to pay scales and benefits and those sorts of things. So we worked with fiscal and legal, and all of us felt comfortable that while we recognize the committee wanted us to do that due diligence, that moving to a 10% cap would give us a little more flexibility.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I can follow. Your cap right now is actually 3%, not 8%.
Oh, 3%, yes. So if we move to 8%, we would still be below it. To move to 9%, we would slightly hit it in this, we would get to 539,000, and with a 10% cap, we'd move to $598,933 in the first year of the biennium and $598,933 in the second year of the biennium. So there is a little bit of wiggle room, but what we think and what fiscal advised us to do as well was to increase the cap to 10% so we have any wiggle room if there are additional personnel expenses that come up through the decisions of this legislature.
So thank you for the information. And so with those numbers, it's still not there. I mean, our fiscal staff can respond to that, but that's not, when you went from 423 to 470, that's not 7 points or even 5 points. So if you don't mind adding.
So Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. So Mr. Jimenez is correct. We sat down with their office and looked at the numbers. based on the direction that we got from the money committees in closing the state treasurer's budget, we looked at what is the least amount that we could add to the cap to be able to fund the new positions in the budget that the money committees had approved. And as Mr. Jimenez said, it was right around 8%, increasing from 3% to 8%. However, given that the legislature is considering compensation enhancements for state employees, and those amounts weren't considered when the funding for the positions were approved, because there's still discussion being done on that. We felt that moving it up to a 10% cap would give the treasurer's office the necessary room under the cap to pay for both the existing financial education programs that are funded out of the endowment account, and then the funding for these positions.
Thank you.
Any additional questions on Senate Bill 499? Okay, seeing none, thank you for joining us today. And with that, I'll go to support here in Carson City. Las Vegas, phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
Chair, the public line is open and working, but we have no callers to give testimony.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City. Las Vegas, BPS, phone lines when you're ready.
Chair, there's still no callers.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to neutral. Carson City, Las Vegas, phone lines when you're ready.
There's still no callers to give testimony.
All righty. Thank you very much, Mr. Jimenez. Any closing comments? Thanks for being with us today, and thanks for being patient, and thanks for all you do. All righty. With that, I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 499, and I'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 500, and we will 501, I'm sorry, and we will ask Superintendent Ebert to join us. Thank you. Go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Dondara Loop, members of the Senate Finance. For the record, my name is Joan Ebert, and I serve as the State Superintendent of Public Instruction. This morning, we are coming to you asking for computer devices that are beyond economical repair. They're 5 years and older, and so you see the amounts here. And I stand ready for any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. So is the total ask on Senate Bill 500 $69,925? Is that what I see?
Superintendent Ebert, for the record, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions on this particular bill? All righty. Then with that, we will go to testimony in support here in Carson City. Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers to offer support testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City. Online, Las Vegas, anybody there?
Thank you, Chair. The public lines are open and working. However, there are no callers to offer opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas, BPS, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. There are no callers to offer neutral testimony.
All righty. With that, closing comment, Senator. You know what? It started with an S. Superintendent. Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 500, and we'll open a hearing on Senate Bill 501. Good morning. Some strangers who came back to see us. You can't escape. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Adam Dross with LCB Fiscal, and today I'm joined by my colleague, Alex Hartz, also with LCB Fiscal. Senate Bill 501 establishes the Public Employees Benefits Program, or PEB, rates for the 2023-25 biennium. This is a budget implementation bill and is the outcome of the budget hearings and the establishment of the PEB budget for the upcoming biennium. This bill reflects the decisions of the money committees. Section 1 establishes the state contribution of $730 per month in FY 2024 and $759 per month in FY 2025 for active state employees. Section 2 of SB 501 establishes the contributions for retirees. Section 2, subsection 1 provides the contribution for non-Medicare retirees, which is $515 per month in fiscal year 2024 and $545 per month in fiscal year 2025. Section 2, subsection 2 details the state contribution for Medicare-eligible retirees participating in PEB. In subsection 2, for those persons who retired before January 1st, 1994, the base state contribution is $195 per month, and that is $13 per month per year of service, as the money committees approved at 15 years of base service. For retirees who retired after January 1st, 1994, it is $13 per month, up to a maximum of $260 per month for 20 years of service. This bill becomes effective on July 1st, 2023, for purposes of funding employer contributions. And Madam Chair, we are available for any questions. Thank you.
All right. Questions, Senator Wynn?
I have a question. You had talked about that $13. Is there, I know that there had been conversations about moving that up to $15 as opposed to that $13. Is there any, can you give me some of the basis for keeping that at the 13?
Madam Chair, through you to Senator Wynn, that it reflects the governor's recommended budget, and it maintains at the $13 for the upcoming biennium.
Any other questions on Senate Bill 501? Okay, thank you for joining us today. And with that, I'll go to support in Carson City.
Good morning, Chair Dondera Loop and fellow committee members. My name for the record is Terry Laird. I'm the Executive Director for RPEN, the Retired Public Employees of Nevada, where we represent all public employees, actives, and retirees. Speaking to Senate Bill 501, we are in support of this bill and want to thank the legislature for all that's been done this session to improve the wages and benefits for state employees who've toiled so long with wages far less than their counterparts in local government. And we are also grateful that during the PEB budget closing, the Joint Money Committee saw fit to increase the life insurance benefits for actives and retirees in PEB to pre-COVID levels. But while active state employees who will hopefully see compensation and benefit increases this session, they very much they very much deserve, we can't help but be disappointed that the HRA contribution for retirees in PEB Medicare exchange will not see an increase. It's been over 10 years since retirees in PEB were moved to the experimental, at that time, Medicare exchange. And since then, the HRA has been raised only once to what it is now, $13 per month per year of service, for the maximum of $260 for someone with 20 years of service. We had hoped to see that contribution raised by only $2 to $15 because we all know how expensive health care is, especially for seniors living on a fixed income. Still, we do thank you on behalf of our nearly 8,000 members for your hard work this session to improve the lives of all state employees, but if there's any possibility of impacting the HRA for our members in the PEB Medicare exchange, we would very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Good morning, committee, chair and members of the committee. For the record, Tess Opferman here on behalf of the AFSCME retirees. We represent around 1,300 state retirees here in Nevada. First, I want to echo everything Terry Laird said. We are very appreciative of this body and the legislature as a whole for the huge strides you've made this session on behalf of state employees. We've had a vacancy crisis, and this body has done really great work to try to address that, and we're very appreciative of that. We're also hugely appreciative of your efforts bringing back life insurance. That was a request of the retirees, and that was a great success for us. That said, I also want to echo what Terry Laird said about the $13 HRA payment, the $13 per month per year worked for a maximum of $260. I want to state some of the healthcare costs of one of our retirees. So one of our retirees spends $573 a month, and that includes Medicare Part B, prescription drugs, dental, and vision insurance. This means he gets an HRA payment of $260, but after that amount, he is spending $313 per month on out-of-pocket costs. This amount that he is spending per month goes up every month as healthcare costs increase. And as we continue to not increase the $13 a month, that means that those costs are coming out of his pocket and are a great burden to our retirees who are living on a fixed income. So I speak to his case in particular, but he is just one of many retirees who are spending increasing amounts on out-of-pocket costs because this $13 remains the same. So like I said, I appreciate everything this body has done, but we do hope to work with you in the final days of the legislative session and during the interim to try to increase that from $13 to $15. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Carter Bundy with AFSCME. We want to echo those comments about the retiree subsidy, but really thank you for the work you have done in restoring life insurance, in increasing HSA and HRA subsidies. And this bill does go a long way towards making premiums affordable. So we know that we need to work during the interim with PEB on plan design, in particular relating to co-pays, co-insurance, and deductibles. One of the most common things we hear from our members is that PEB actually is good health insurance if they can afford to use it. But that's really a question of plan design. What you're doing here is terrific, and we're grateful for you, and we urge you to support SB 501. Thank you.
Kent Irvin, Nevada Faculty Alliance. Just very appreciative of everything you're doing on compensation and benefits for state employees, including NSHE professional employees this session, and ditto to the other comments.
Go ahead, please.
Dan Gordon, President, Nevada Police Union. Just wanted to say that we do support this bill, and we find it's very important and thankful that you guys are hearing this bill and considering it for increased subsidies for both retirees and for current employees. And just wanted to say that we do support this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any additional support here in Carson City? All right, with that, seeing none in Las Vegas, support on the phone lines. BPS when you're ready.
Chair, the public line is open and working, but there are no callers.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City. In Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
Chair, there are still no callers to testify.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to neutral here in Carson City. In Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
Chair, we still have no callers.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, closing comments. Then we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 501. All right, with that, we have heard all our bills, and committee, we do have a BDR to introduce. And Mr. Thorley will hand it to you really quick, and I will allow you just a minute to look at it. And then I will ask for a motion. Okay, Mr. Thorley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Members, you have before you BDR 32-1086. This is a BDR at the request of the Governor's Office of Finance. The BDR would do two things. It would increase the standard deduction for the commerce tax from its current $4 million to $6 million. The bill would also institute a motor vehicle fuel tax holiday for fiscal year '24, and also would appropriate $2.5 million from the state general fund to the highway fund to offset the reduction in highway fund revenue associated with the fuel tax holiday.
Thank you very much. And with that, I would accept a motion. Thank you very much, Senator Titus. Second from Senator Wynn. And introducing this BDR is just exactly that. So with that, I would ask all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, with that, we have one item left on our agenda, and that would be our public comment. So just as a reminder, 888-475-4499, and then the meeting ID will be 813-2765-3067. Press pound, and then when prompted for the participant ID, please press pound. All right, BPS. Anyone here in Carson City? No one in Las Vegas? BPS on the phone lines when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. The public lines are open and working. However, there are no callers to offer public comment at this time.
All right, thank you very much. And with that, members, we will see you later this afternoon. Not sure exactly of the time. So be ready and willing. Willing more than ready, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, with that, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much.